I'm Fiona Mear, I'm one of the co-head teachers at Low Ash Primary.
I'm Beth Medhurst, I'm the other co-head teacher at Low Ash Primary School, and we've been enrolled together since September 2019.
So in terms of the makeup of our governing body, we have a range of different roles, of experience, of different work expertise. We do a skills audit every year, and that goes through where the governors feel confident in SEND, in finance, in different situations in HR, and then we've actively worked to try and make sure that we have people who are experts in different fields. Our chair's background is in HR. We realised at one point we didn't have a lot of finance expertise, and we were working at the time with Santander, who were doing effectively community work with us. They helped us build part of our garden and supported us with some grants for that. So we then approached one of the leading lights from that group of people, and then she's now one of our governors and has been for 5 or 6 years. So I suppose it's trying to find the people that you need to make up a balanced and effective governing body in terms of whatever every person can offer.
And I think it's really important to actively seek out those governors with those areas of expertise that you need, that don't just fall into your lap. And it's worked for us, that keeping your eyes and your ears open to try and build relationships with those people, rather than just maybe being sent a governor from the governor's service. That's not something we personally have used, but that does work for other people. But it's making those connections, and as Fiona said, the finance one linked to Santander was a perfect one.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rawnsley. I'm the head teacher of Newby Primary School in Bradford 5, and I'm at the end of my 32-year career. We do our skills audit each year, so we always look at what our skills are, where our training needs are. We have a governor visioning day and a development day, and from that we can then decide who has got the skills in order to become particular named governors. And if they haven't, or they're interested, what can we put in place? So we have a really clear CPD structure, which is monitored by our business manager in school, and we use the governor's services well in order to upskill our governors, as well as such things like NGA, the National Governors Association, and other publications and research led. So that means that our named governors are skilled and they are fully aware of their roles and responsibilities, and that again means that there are seamless and streamlined processes to monitor and evaluation of those key areas, such as safeguarding. So our named safeguarding governor is fully up to date with training, has a team of people who will monitor the effectiveness of safeguarding under all the Section 175 headings throughout a year, and there's a monitoring forms and various things we've put in place that allow that to happen. It's a useful thing for us as a school because we know that there are eyes on our processes, which means that we are trying to do the very best we can.
My name's John Devlin and I'm Executive Head Teacher of the Our Lady Victories, where we are today, St Anne's in Keighley, and also St Joseph's in Keighley and St Anthony's in Shipley. And I work with the Blessed Christopher Wharton Catholic Academy Trust. I've been head teacher here at Our Lady Victories a very long time, 16 years since 2006, and I've been executive head for 7 years with the other schools. I love my job. I'm a Keighley boy and a Keighley Catholic boy, and I am very privileged to be able to work in the job that I have and do all I can for the children of Keighley, my hometown, which I love very much. We need to invest in our governors, and we need also to identify those governors with the kind of skills that we need. So each year we do a skills audit, which comes through our trust. And when it comes to identifying new governors, because we're a Catholic schools, it's obviously knowing who's who in the in the parish, and if there is, if say, I don't know, a retired teacher or a lawyer or an accountant and look like they've got too much time on their hands, then what we will do is we will approach them and ask them if they would very kindly help us out on the governing body. But if we do have gaps of expertise, then there's a number of ways of trying to fill these. We do work with Bradford Governor Services, which have CPD courses. The diocese runs CPD courses as well. I mean, they particularly specialise in Catholic life, admissions, schemes of delegation, and so on, understanding the role of a governor. A lot of it is down to us within the school leaders. We invite our governors in as often as possible to come and get to know the staff, to speak with Senkos, safeguarding leads, maths leaders, English leaders, because they need to know their schools. And so a lot of the gaps in knowledge that a governor may have, through no fault of their own, is because maybe they haven't worked in education. So we go out of our way to make sure that we invite them into our schools, and that they have not just, well, we have to give them a cup of tea as well, but that we have purposeful meetings. Now, it was very difficult during lockdown, but we've really upped the number of visits in the last few months. We had 2 governors in here yesterday. I've got another governor at St Joseph's tonight who's coming in to look at what we're doing about attendance. And because I have those named governors on my governing body, that is what they do when they come in to visit. So our attendance governor, for instance, she will go and visit all of the schools, all of the 3 schools, and have a similar conversation on each one, and then report back to the governing body. So if we do feel that there is a gap in expertise, if we can't plug it through external CPD, then the experienced school leaders within our schools, we do try our best to get the governors to learn on the job, invite them in, meet the correct people.
Hi, my name's Chris Bunting. I'm Director at Bradford Birth to 19, a school improvement and teacher training organisation based at St Edmund's Nursery School in Girlington, Bradford, but I'm also Chair of Governors at Saltaire Primary School. So at Saltaire Primary, we've been really fortunate to have the support of a very talented governing body. If you look to our last offset, it does say governance was, it was outstanding. And it's taken time to build that governing body. We use a skills audit in trying to develop over time the composition of our governing body, and we do this every time there's a vacancy. It's quite a tricky thing, really, because if you're recruiting parent governors, they're ostensibly bringing their expertise as being a parent to that governing body, and you can try to nudge to a certain extent recruitment in a particular direction, but it is right that the parents and carers of children in the school vote for people and choose people that they want to, that they think are going to be a good mouthpiece for some of their ideas, concerns, and things that they want to celebrate as successes. We have been really fortunate, I think, to be able to draw in people with a wide range of experiences. Many of our parents have come from a professional background as well, and we have worked hard to develop that critical capacity within the governing body. The other thing that we need to do is to make sure that we've got a governing body which is inclusive and representative of our school community as much as we possibly can. So we have made an explicit drive to kind of improve the diversity of our governing body, and that's been quite difficult at times to be able to keep going with that, to be able to mix up those I don't know, I suppose to deal with the challenges that you've got there of making sure you've got the right skills, making sure that you've got that you give parent voice in the selection of parent governors, but that you've also got an appropriately diverse intake. We've had opportunities to be able to make changes in that space when we've looked to co-opt governors onto the governing body. So you try to do that to fill some of the gaps in which have been evidenced through our audit. We work in really strong partnership with other governing bodies. We've had the experience of working in a loose federation with a nursery school which is on the same campus as Saltaire, and that was a really interesting experience from which we gained an awful lot. And that was at a time when we had an executive head teacher looking over both schools. And we have sought to develop ourselves and provide support for other governing bodies within our informal partnership of schools in the Aire Valley, and all of those have been really useful processes. I think as a governor, we might be quite good at Saltaire, we weren't always quite good, and we get better by working in partnership and learning from others.
I'm John Sker, I'm the Executive Head Teacher of Secondary Schools at the Carlton Academy Trust. The vast majority of our trustees are some way connected to our district, and if not the district, to wider West Yorkshire, and that's something we're very proud about. And some obviously very nationally prominent members of the trustee boards who have got that high end level of challenge that can really push the academy on, because ultimately we're driven for that excellence for all our young people, and we need to challenge ourselves. And I think if you're often hardest on yourself as an organisation if you really believe in school improvement and pushing to the next level.
I'm Sharon Gilroy, I'm the Clerk to Governors at Lower West Primary School in Bradford. I'm also the School Business Manager. We did have a long-standing governor, and one of the things that I'm very keen on is to have that external scrutiny of the finances. And although we've got governors who have been on the governing body for a long time, they may understand quite a lot, but school finance has changed. So as a consequence, I am very open and invite, even though sometimes it isn't always great time-wise, business managers never have enough time. However, it's really important that you engage with your governors, because the more they know, the better outcomes for children. And one of the things that we do in terms of our induction, we looked at our induction programme as to what actually would a new governor need to know. So there is obviously, we do have a lot of training. We bought into the National College, so that does support our governor training, because there's online webinars. We do make sure that governors know about the training available from the Bradford Governor Service, and we also do our own internal training. So we'll talk to governors about finance. So for example, new governors come in and I talk them through how schools funded. I know it's very it can be bamboozling for governors, but I break it down and say, this is how we get our funding. This is how different income is in the different income codes. We talk about consistent financial reporting. We talk about the expenditure codes and what that looks like, and why different things happen throughout the year, and why we may or may not be able to foresee expenditure.
So as part of our structure, in the education focus side of our executive leadership team, we have a Director of Primary, Executive Head of Secondary, and a Director of School Improvement. The Director of School Improvement, one of their key responsibilities is upskilling our trustees around questioning, around activities. So a structure has been put in about how we continue to develop our trustees. Regular training sessions are held, so safeguarding sessions are led by our Director of Safeguarding. Our Director of Pastoral gives updates around behaviour, attendance and school engagement. Our SEND gives updates around school SEN matters, and then the schools will talk about progress, and we'll always link that back to national data. The Director of School Improvement, or alongside that, be working with those trustees to upskill them. We also work a lot with some of the online training platforms. The National NGA, we work with the Key, and we ensure that our governors and trustees have the opportunity to upskill themselves and to do it outside of the school situation, because if every time they come in here they've got to conduct a half-hour training session. It's going to increase the time they're going to be here, and that will increase their commitment, which is unlikely to be sustainable long-term unless they're in a position where they can do that. So we have a mixture of in-school based training and online based training, utilising experts and professionals and online platforms to ensure that everyone gets the skill set. We have trackers in place to make sure everyone's done it, and you get a nice little email if you haven't, and you're upskilling them. But then the CEO's job is to make sure trustees are aware of their responsibilities and keeping them on track, and our clerk, our chair of trustees and our clerk will feed that back to members of the trust board or the governing boards to ensure that we're at the appropriate level and everyone's got the appropriate skill set in order to challenge. I think the self-reflection and sort of self-critical nature of our schools is sort of magnified by the trust. The trust is very focused on how we can continue to improve, and that sort of looking at itself to say, you know, and how do we do that? Our trustees have to play a key role and lead by example on that, and at the Carnham Academy Trust they very much do, and that helps the challenge at every level to ensure that we're all on the same page and trustees have a clear understanding of the direction of the organisation, but also the direction of individual schools.
Okay, so just a quick word really on what it's like to be a new governor, and also what it's like to be a new chair of the governing body. And it's important to take advantages of induction support that's provided by the local authority through multi-academy trusts or through other collaborative partnerships. And there is that kind of formal offer, which is really important. But there's also, I think, for us, and something that we've used at Saltaire Primary, which is around buddying and support for new members of the governing body. And we tend to put them with experienced governors, but perhaps with governors who are not the chair. So it's the ability for some people who might not feel confident in asking some of those questions or exposing relative ignorance around issues. It's much easier to ask somebody who's a bit like you, who's joined maybe only a couple of years ago, who's somebody you can ask a question you might feel embarrassed about asking in front of a full governing body. And that we have a programme of having peer-to-peer support for new governors in the first year of joining the governing body. That said, there's some really good training out there, and I'd recommend governors take advantage of, in Bradford, the local authority offer, some of the online offers through the Key, and the wide-ranging support that's available, much of this for free through the NGA and through other national organisations.
We're not being fair to our governors if we don't give them CPD that will help them perform their roles as effectively as possible. And there is an awful lot of training out there for governors if you know where to look. For us, the first port of call is either the diocesan training that takes place. Our trust sometimes runs CPD sessions as well. For instance, we're lucky that our CEO is an Ofsted inspector, and so is able to give some really key messages there. But the local authority has an awful lot of courses out there, and they're not too expensive. And you can book governors on very easily, and there are courses for specialised governors and also for new to governors, governors who are new. So let's be fair to our governors. Let's get them booked on some of these courses, because they can be much more effective having had the correct CPD.